Identify a feature of everyday life in one part of the world, and there's every chance you'll see it in another, although the precise nature of it will most likely vary from place to place. Investigating similarities and contrasts in ways of life can lead to a better understanding of global issues and different cultures. And there's now a new approach, which is bringing together students and their schools in a way that has not been possible before. It focuses on contrasts and similarities in science, technology, and society. It began in Europe, and it's now growing across the world. The idea of schools comparing the results of their practical work with those from schools in other countries began as a project called Science Across Europe. What was the reason for choosing science rather than any other subjects?
Science is really a part of the curriculum which is common right the way across Europe. Languages aren't common, geography isn't, history isn't, but science is. And so we said, let's look at some of the science topics that might be studied in lots of European countries together and look at some of the issues that arise from it and get students exchanging information and opinion between different countries.
In the 3 years that the scheme has been running, schools in over 20 European countries have joined in, and it's rapidly expanding in Southeast Asia, Australia and New Zealand.
Excuse me, do you mind if we ask a few questions?
Hi, no.
How do you heat your home?
Gas.
Gas.
For the pupils, the project begins with their own personal research.
Electricity.
Heat and water.
The module these pupils are working on looks at sources of energy for heating, cooking and electricity generation. They're also interested in how to conserve energy.
Installation.
Back in the classroom, the pupils have chosen to follow up the research. But what makes this new science project so different is that when the students have collated the results of all their research, surveys, tests and experiments, that's not the end of it. Indeed, it might be argued that it's almost the beginning.
Is it all right for you to use your fax? Yes.
Using a local shop with fax facilities, the results of the students' research are sent to schools which are working on the same modules in other countries. The science project is a very flexible scheme, so that no matter where in the world it's being used, each module's contents can be adapted to suit local conditions and interests. Indeed, when introducing the Energy at Home module into Southeast Asia, it had to be modified because insulation and double glazing are not major issues there.
An interesting thing is for the unit using energy at home, instead of writing about how you keep your house warm, you write about how you keep your house cool. There are cultural differences, there are geographical differences like that.
Another of the modules currently available under the scheme analyses water, with, as usual, the starting point for the students being research outside the classroom and in the home. When the samples that are collected are checked later, the students will look for impurities and ask questions about how they got there and how they might be removed. The next stage will be to take it even further and look at community concerns about the quality of water. Also available is a module which focuses on the nutritional aspects of food and looks at the links between diet and health. Exchange results don't just throw up differences, but also similarities between countries and cultures, as one project comparing the food of Indonesia with the rest of Southeast Asia has highlighted.
Kelihatannya tidak begitu banyak perbedaan. Hampir mirip begitu ya. Cuma mungkin ada perbedaan-perbedaan di antaranya ya barangkali kalau ada negara di kita seperti Singapura misalnya, mereka itu tidak memperoleh, artinya tidak menghasilkan langsung, tapi mereka itu mengimpor. Kalau kita sebagian ada yang kita produksi langsung, ada yang kita import.
The very suggestion of imports and exports introduces another fascinating element to the science project, because from the science can come geography and work in other curriculum areas like history and perhaps most obviously modern languages.
The language difference is a very interesting one because we discovered quite soon that schools are using this material to teach languages.
Last year, for example, our Spanish teacher wanted to teach about environmental issues, and it gave her a context in which to do that. And so her Spanish group learnt all about acid rain, actually in Spanish. Right, now here are some of the replies we've had from other schools in Europe, so if you'd like to open them.
You have to allow the schools to pick it up and run with it in the way that they want to, and you get some very exciting things happening.
Kalau menurut pengamatan kami, ini anak-anak itu sangat respect sekali, tapi sangat antusias sekali untuk melakukan kegiatan ini. Gitu. Jadi bahkan mereka ada yang bekerja dalam kegiatan ini sudah dari jam 9 sampai jam 4 sore. Itu mereka terus-menerus di sini. Jadi sebelum mereka selesai dalam mengerjakan alat itu, mereka belum berhenti. Sehingga bahkan saya menyuruh mereka pulang, supaya jangan nanti terlalu lelah dalam kegiatan ini. Gitu. Jadi mereka sangat respect sekali.
Ya, menyenangkan juga, dan kami dari percobaan ini dapat menambah pengetahuan dan pengalaman, terutama pengalaman.
It seems that there's very little that those involved in the science project want to criticise. That it is benefiting schools in all countries, irrespective of their general approach and teaching methods. It encourages practical activities in the classroom, and often the test equipment can become a test of the student's own ingenuity. Here, in the module on water, they've devised their own water filters using everyday materials, rags, paper and plastic bottles. It's not a costly project either. The modules that introduce the experiments are inexpensive to acquire, simple to adapt and easy to copy. Coordinating the scheme in European schools is the ASE, the Association for Science Education. Whilst in Asia-Pacific, the leading role has been taken up by RECSAM, the Regional Centre for Education in Science and Mathematics. Indeed, it's the active support of education ministries in each country taking part that has got the project off to such a good start in the Asia-Pacific region.
We've got a successful project in Europe, nearly 300 schools participating, and we hope that's going to grow to something near 2,000. It's starting very well in Southeast Asia, and I'm sure that's going to grow very successfully. We're looking at North America to start a network there, and maybe other parts of the world as well. And then the interesting thing will be when we connect up all of those regional networks, and then we really can have students exchanging information in science across the world.
It's a worthwhile scheme. It's helping us to broaden our perspective, and I think it helps even more if it's going to go wider. It's helping the students to become more independent in what they do. I'm sure there's something new in it for everybody, yes.
We, each of us, from time to time, in our working lives or indeed in our home lives, are involved with a decision or an action which we feel to be profoundly right, profoundly correct, exactly the thing we should be doing. In every sense, that's how I feel about the science project.